Well, the time has finally come for us to see who's number one. Get out on the floor. It's alright to dance.
Tonight, the Big East Elite takes center stage. The Big East definition of team. The prolific scorer has a brand new sidekick. A young phenom looks to restore Orange glory. And the Big East defending champs lurking yet again.
Crown the champion right here on ESPN.
We are in Midtown Manhattan, inside the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, and we got a lot of people in here with us. There are no seats available for tonight's semifinals, and why not? We're expecting a slugfest. The heavyweights have made it to the semis of the Conagra Foods Big East Championship, all a part of Championship Week presented by 7-Up. Game 1, the Boston College Eagles, the champions of the East Division, against the 5th-ranked team in the country, the Pittsburgh Panthers. Our second game tonight. How about Syracuse and Connecticut getting set to go a couple of hours from now right here on ESPN. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman and Len Elmore with you. You look at these two teams in game ones. In conference games, when BC led the conference in scoring, Pittsburgh simply one of the toughest and best defensive teams in the country. Who wins this matchup? How does it sort itself out?
Well, it's the classic confrontation. Strong defense against a terrific offense. BC likes to get up and down. They love to play in the 80s, and they've got a terrific inside-out combination in Troy Bell and Craig Smith. But Pittsburgh likes to play physical. They'll get up, they'll get in your grill, they'll try to disrupt you, and with BC having only a 7-man rotation, they'll try to wear you down.
Yesterday against Providence, Pittsburgh was without one of their better players, Chevy Troutman, a forward who comes off the bench, but he's so good. He was 3rd-team All Big East this year. We just received late word, despite a high ankle sprain, he is attempting to play tonight. Good news for Pitt, because they need everybody on deck to try and deal with Craig Smith.
Well, absolutely. Craig Smith is the best freshman you never heard of. This is a guy that had 33 against St. John's in the previous game. He's a combination of strength and old school footwork. If he gets one-on-one coverage down low, he's going to be a tough matchup for Pittsburgh.
The Pittsburgh Panthers, oh so good, and they've been oh so close the last couple of years, nationally and here in the Big East Conference. With more on that, here is Dave Ryan.
Dan and Len, thanks so much. This Pittsburgh team has 3 seniors on its roster. Donatas Savatskis, Ontario Lett, and star point guard Brandon Knight, and all have one common goal in mind. That's finally winning a Big East tournament title. They've come so close in the past couple of years. Runners up the last 2 years, but they've stayed hungry with a high desire to win a Big East championship title this year. Brandon Knight, guys, says it best. It's a very talented team, an experienced team. In a tough moment, they're going to rise to the top. We'll see if they're able to do that with so much on the line and keep their eyes on a Big East tournament prize.
Now there's the guy to keep an eye on if you're a fan of the Pitt Panthers. Brandon Knight, along with Troy Bell, as we focus in on the point guards in our Star Watch, Len. And one of these guys has outright won or shared the Conference Player of the Year award each of the last 3 years. I mean, we've got some talent on the floor here tonight.
Well, absolutely. This exemplifies that classic confrontation. Brandon Knight, a terrific defensive player, excellent playmaker, and Troy Bell, just flat out a terrific scorer, one of the best in Big East history.
Pittsburgh beating Providence in the quarters. Boston College over St. John's in overtime in their quarterfinal yesterday. Syracuse and Connecticut set to go in game 2. We are underway with Pittsburgh in visiting blue getting the first possession of the night.
Boston College looks like they're in matchup zone. The only way you're going to find out, Pittsburgh, is if you move the ball, cut guys through.
Starting to do that now. Julius Page sneaking around to the baseline for the Panthers, who are a very balanced offensive team. Knight steps inside the line, and that's a very good sign that he knocks down his first shot of the night.
Well, just like any player, and particularly the good ones, you gain confidence by the first time you execute something, and right off the bat, Brandon Knight's establishing his outside shot.
Great inside-outside combination for BC. The senior Troy Bell on the outside, the freshman Craig Smith on the inside. Nate Dornicamp with a 15-footer that he leaves short, and back on the Panthers.
And against the man-to-man that Pittsburgh employed, not a whole lot of exploration by Boston College.
Donatas Zavadskis, one of those seniors Dave Ryan was talking about, and their best outside shooter. Air ball by Knight, and Jerron Brown, 6'4", hanging around under the basket, so strong with the offensive rebound of the putback.
Well, that's another matchup to watch. Brown and Ryan Sidney. Sidney known to be a physical player, but as far as size and width is concerned, Sidney is no match for Jerron Brown.
A turnover, and back comes Knight. 3-on-2. He's got Page on the wing. He's got Page under the basket. 6-0 Pittsburgh.
Boston College normally a man-to-man team. It looks as though they've employed a defense that they hadn't worked on very well. A couple of missed assignments thus far, and that's not the way to develop confidence in a game like this.
Here's steal again by Knight. Dave Ryan talked about some of that unfinished business. The Panthers making it to the Big East Tournament Championship game each of the last 2 years, but they have not won the Big East Championship. They've got to win tonight just to get back to the final, and they're off to a great start against BC. What a tough shot there by Lewis Hinton. Brown, Lent spinning. Look at the big guy go underneath and draw the foul. Now Ben Howland has to be thrilled with what he's seen in the first couple of minutes of this game as we check out the Conagra Foods starting lineups for Pitt. By today's standards, Len, Pitt has so much experience. Even quality teams have a freshman or two in their starting lineup, and Pitt really with juniors and seniors all over the place. And that's what really has carried them throughout this season, the ability to withstand adversity, to come back in games, to play consistent defense. Veterans are the ones who can get that done. You know, I call Ontario Lett somewhat like Mike Sweetney, a dancing bear, and right there, nice pirouette by the big fella. Again, you look at a guy that size and you just don't expect him to have the agility that he has and the soft touch. But Ontario Lett is one of those guys that's just so impressive despite his girth. 6'6", 265 pounds. Ben Howland is going to rotate 4 players on the interior at the 2 power spots. 7-0 Pittsburgh here early. And watch the job Julius Page is doing on Troy Bell. He's been face guarding, trying to deny him the ball. You want to talk about a physical matchup? How about Ryan Sidney and Jerron Brown? Sidney misses with the left hand, and Lett is there for the rebound. Here's Page, 12 points per game. He's Pittsburgh's leading scorer, but they've got 6 guys averaging between 10 and 12. You can't be more balanced than that. Well, that's a definite tribute to the ball movement that we'll see throughout this night. These guys are looking to make the extra pass. The extra step there by Ontario Lett. Troy Bell, player of the year in the Big East and one of the most prolific scorers in history. He's having a lot of difficulty finding some light. A nice job by Page to cut him off. And then Brown forces the left-hand hook by Ryan Sidney, who is a pretty good player down in the post, but again, against the strength of Jerron Brown, he's going to have some difficulties. Sidney and Brown, both guys who really defy being labeled as playing a certain position. They can do so many different things in spite of the fact that one guy's only 6'4" and the other guy's only 6'2". Well, there's an awful lot to do with the size of their heart. That's right. Well, Al Skinner, a couple of years ago, worst to first for the Boston College Eagles. They beat Pittsburgh in the championship game of this tournament a couple of years ago. BC, depending on who you talk to, either on the bubble or in. I think most would agree at this point in, having won 10 games in the league, winning their division, and beating St. John's in the quarters yesterday. I'll tell you, one of the things, again, that you look at with Boston College is the fact that, again, you know, they've done everything you need to do objectively. You know, they won their division. They went from 1-4 to 10-6. And if you don't allow a 10-6 team in a conference as tough as the Big East to go, then what are you telling the conference? NBA 3 and then some for the leading scorer in the Big East Conference, Troy Bell. And before the game, I had a chance to speak with Troy. He acknowledged that he knew they were going to play him physical and they're going to beat him and bang him, but he was going to let the game come to him. And right there, nice job in recognizing his shot, and that's his range. Pittsburgh, as physical a team as there is in the Big East, and the best defensive team in the Big East, holding the opposition to 59 points per game, one of the best marks in the country. And that's what gets you through tough nights on the offensive end, and that's what gets you through that 6-game tournament. Strong and consistent D. Jerron Brown, the miss, kept alive, though, by Ontario Lett.
Well, that's what Boston College cannot do. They cannot give up second chance opportunities to Pittsburgh. They're so efficient in execution. Eventually, you're going to get burned. You got to limit them.
BC plays a 3-guard lineup. With a couple of big guys inside. No real wing-type players on the floor for the Eagles. Here's Page. From outside or off the dribble, Polton did both. Knight. Shot clock down to 6. Long 3 for Page.
Excellent defensive trip down there by Boston College, and now starting to get the hang of that matchup.
And Bell is fouled on a 3-point attempt by Brandon Knight, who's arguing the call, but you could see he got fouled because there was absolutely no rotation on the shot whatsoever.
Well, we talked about Pittsburgh and how they play physically. They also kind of slide on defense as well. They'll give you the little nudge. They'll give you that little touch just enough to throw you off balance. And again, I consider that good defense as well, as long as you can get away with it. That's what the game is all about.
Bell, a very good free throw shooter, will have a chance to shoot 3 here as he misses the first. The player of the year in the Big East Conference this season, led the league in scoring and averaged about 30 points per game in his last 13. Astounding as he led them to the top of the division.
And that's why I say when anybody talks player of the year across this country, you cannot start that discussion without mentioning Troy Bell.
Very good sign here for the Panthers. One of their most popular and capable players coming into the game. Chevy Troutman missed yesterday with a right ankle sprain, a high ankle sprain. He was questionable right up until game time, and we were told he was going to give it a go.
You're going to question how effective he can be with an ankle sprain. His game is part power but part agility.
Bell knocks down 2 out of 3, so the Eagles have recovered after a slow start. For more on what's going on around the country, back to the studio with Chris Fowler.
Dan, thank you. There is a thriller in Louisville. Conference USA quarters, Louisville and Memphis. Semis, I should say. Cardinals have led throughout this game. Look at the steal by Burks. Lays it in for the Tigers, who take the lead. Marvin Stone, the center for the Cardinals, is playing in this game, and he knocks down a go-ahead shot with a minute to play. We'll keep you posted. Tigers ball down 1 in the final minute of the game.
The NCAA Women's Championship Selection Special, Sunday at 5 on ESPN.
Well, mama, don't you make me another meatloaf. Forget the mac and cheese. I want some fun piled on a bun. I want a manwich, please. Make tonight a manwich night. I want a manwich, please.
The key to outdoor advertising? Location. So I put my 7-Up billboard where people spend all their time outdoors. At a ski resort. Ooh! Now that's a billboard with stopping power. Yeah. Woo!
You think of how accidents occur, how everything happens so fast. Then you think about how you can create anti-roll technology that reacts even faster. You think about that, then you build.
The new Volvo XC90, the only SUV equipped with a roll stability control system to help prevent rollover and guided by conscience.
Introducing Intel Centrino mobile technology. The new wireless laptop technology designed to help you untangle, unburden, and unwire your life.
ESPN's presentation of the 2003 Conagra Foods Big East Championship is brought to you by Conagra Foods. We set America's table at home and away. And in part by 7-Up and your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours. And Volvo. Volvo for life.
Get you back to the Big East momentarily, but now bonus coverage. Lou Canella, Steve Bardo in Louisville. Memphis now has taken the lead.
We're at Freedom Hall, semifinal action. Conference USA Men's Basketball Championship. John Grice at the line with 28. He's been the story here in the second half. 6 triples in the game.
John Grice, along with Jeremy Hunt, piecing this effort together in Freedom Hall.
3-point lead. Reese Gaines has fouled out. Chris Massey also has fouled out. Garcia went up and drew the foul. The foul on Barron. He'll shoot 2.
Looks like there's some confusion.
As I mentioned, Massey's fouled out, the leading scorer for the Tigers. Jeremy Hunt also has fouled out. Hunt had 14 in the first half to keep the Tigers close. Reese Gaines out of the ball game, and a slew of players in foul trouble.
Boy, that was Earl Barron did a very good job of coming to the aid of Carney, who's guarding Garcia coming off of a double pick. Garcia does a tremendous job of curling off the pick.
And what the refs are...
So Memphis trying to win their 13th straight. We'll get you right back out there. Just keeping you updated. Pittsburgh, the 9-5 lead on Boston College about 6 minutes in at the Garden.
Free throws or 2. And the refs, after viewing the replay, say 2 free throws. Field goal calls him.
Good job by the referees conferring and getting the call right. Under a little bit of pressure here in Freedom Hall.
Curtis Shaw making the call.
And watch his right foot. There it is. On the line.
Garcia 92% from the line. Hits the first. D'Artez back for Stone, who sits with 4 fouls. He hits both. Anthony Rice in the game. Rice hasn't seen much action. Saddle with foul problems all game long.
Let's see how Memphis handles this full court pressure here.
1-point lead for the Tigers. They get it to Burks. Immediately fouled by Northern. And Antonio Burks will go to the line.
I like what Memphis does, Lou. When there's a foul, they run to their free throw line and know they're going to shoot free throws, and they huddle quickly to get their game plan. That's a smart move by the Memphis Tigers.
Burks 2 for 2 from the line tonight, 72% on the season. Hits the first.
Antonio Burks has been money here in the second half, Lou, with his jump shot, his playmaking, and now on the free throw line. See, he's flashing the camera a little smile. Confident young man on the line, 3rd team All-Conference USA selection.
61 fouls called against these 2 teams back on February 19th. Last meeting, almost as many tonight. 2-point game. Crowd wanted a foul call as Dean knocks down the triple to give Louisville the lead. Back the other way, Richmond. Throws one up, no. Short. White had the rebound. And they're going nuts at Freedom Hall.
Tremendous shot by Taekwon Dean. When he let it go, Lou, I didn't think it was going. He was fading when he let the shot go. But the freshman comes up huge for the Cardinals.
Would you believe his first field goal of the game? Taekwon Dean, the freshman from Neptune, New Jersey. Louisville on the verge of ending Memphis's 12-game winning streak, 7 in a row away from the pyramid.
Still a lot of time left.
Barron committed the foul on Whitehead. Barron is fouled out.
And you see Richmond trying to run up and tries to lean into Whitehead to try to draw the foul. Unsuccessful on his attempt. Celebration on the Louisville bench.
Now, even if he hits the 2 free throws, Memphis will have a crack at a 3.
And Lou, I wouldn't be surprised if this free throw goes in. Memphis will be able to throw the ball to half court.
And Memphis still has a timeout left. And Louisville calls the timeout a full timeout. So we're down to the final shot. 4.3 seconds left. Louisville leads Memphis 78-75.
That game has just been a thriller. We'll take you back out there for the final couple of seconds. Boston College has kind of steadied itself at the Garden. Pittsburgh's kind of led throughout, but it's 11-10. Again, we'll get you right back out there at the conclusion of this Conference USA thriller. And look what Bob Knight and Texas Tech are doing to Texas in the early going, Digger.
I'll tell you got to reverse it. You'd think Texas would be up 29-13. Knight doing a great job getting his kids in this game early. TJ Ford under control.
Texas Tech probably on the wrong side of the NCAA at large fence right now. They could need this win and maybe another one, but a good start.
Unbelievable. This is a shocker. Texas not even out of the box. James Thomas quiet in the paint. Texas is playing the defense, shutting them down, but Texas Tech on a roll.
Still real early in the game, and Texas Tech does have the firepower. Back now to Freedom Hall. Cardinals trying to hang on.
Season, the freshman Taekwon Ding. Memphis still with a full timeout. Rick Pitino's used all of his timeouts. Possession arrow in favor of the Tigers. 3-point numbers. Tigers 9 for 22. And most of those threes you can attribute to John Grice. 6 for 10. So keep an eye on number 20 for the Tigers. Richmond gets it inbounds to Burks. Burks pulls up. And it's over. The Cardinals hold off the Tigers 78-75.
That was a thriller. Louisville on its home floor awaits the winner of UAB St. Louis, the second semifinal tonight. There was a timeout at Madison Square Garden. 11-10 is the score. When you come back, we'll get you back out there to the first of two Big East semifinals tonight.
Ladies, you know, the ocean has many voices, and it's saying, why don't you two join this handsome gentleman for a Bud Light? All right, that's what I thought. I gotta try that.
Ladies, it's the ocean, and it's telling me...
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light.
Thanks.
Sure.
Disciplined investing. It's not about following the crowd. At T. Rowe Price, our independent research means we're not deceived by every market ripple, and we don't chase every fad. Over 70% of our mutual funds beat their 3, 5, and 10-year Lipper averages. We have the experience to know what works, and the insight to find real opportunity. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Anniversary B-Rod. Claim yours before they're gone.
You think about designing an SUV with room for 7 people. And room for the things that 7 people like to take along. But mostly, you think about the 7 people themselves and how an SUV can finally help protect each and every one of them. You think about that, then you build.
The new Volvo XC90, the first SUV equipped with third-row safety curtains, a roll stability control system, and guided by conscience.
So Louisville survives. Texas on the ropes early, and BC and Pittsburgh in a 1-point game as we get you back to the Garden. Dan, Len, and Dave. Fellas?
Chris, thank you very much. An 11-10 lead here for Pittsburgh in the first of 2 semifinals. You'll see tonight here on ESPN at the Conagra Foods Big East Championship. Pittsburgh had an early 7-0 lead. BC got back within 7-5. Julius Page getting to the glass, making it 9-5. Donatas Zavatskis inside for the Panthers, but then the player of the year in the Big East, Troy Bell, answers with a 3. And Len, Bell has 8 of Boston College's 10 points right now.
Well, certainly you depend on the prolific scorer to get you back in the game on offense, but Boston College has gotten back with defense. The defense lacked assuredness when Pittsburgh went out to that big lead, but they stabilized. They had composure in the half court. Al Skinner also employed a full court pressure, and that slowed Pitt's attack and really gave Boston College some experience as well as some confidence on the other end.
Well, meanwhile, a double technical has been assessed against Donatas Zavatskis of Pittsburgh and Craig Smith of Boston College. And Craig Smith, remember, technicals count as personals. That is 3 fouls now on Craig Smith, the phenomenal freshman for the Eagles, who on the season averaged about 20 points and 8 rebounds per game. And Jermaine Watson is sent flying, and we've got a foul against Pittsburgh. No surprise. Pittsburgh plays a very physical style of basketball. Picking up that foul was Brandon Knight, number 2 on him. So Jerron Brown's going to come in, and Knight's going to go out. So here we are with Smith and Knight, 2 of the pivotal players in this game, Len, on the bench in foul trouble.
Well, that seemed to neutralize the losses. There's no question about it. The officials now starting to call this game very tight after the confrontation between Smith and Zavatskis.
Nate Dornekamp of BC just picked up a foul on a moving screen. So it's 2 on Knight. It's 3 on Smith. And people around the country may not be aware of how good a player Craig Smith is, but ask anybody in the Big East Conference. Led the league in field goal percentage, in the top 10 in scoring and rebounding as well. And were it not for a fellow named Carmelo Anthony, Craig Smith probably would have been the Big East Rookie of the Year. Krauser with a nice feed underneath. Let under and in.
They talk about Craig Smith. He's the best freshman you never heard of. And him not being on that front line is a real blow to Boston College.
Ryan Sidney with a miss. Jerron Brown, tough guy underneath at 6'4", brings down the rebound.
Because it's Craig Smith who can at least handle the Letts and the Troutmans on the baseline.
Krauser takes a bump but finishes strong. His first 2 points of the night.
You know, I talked about Smith on the bench and Knight on the bench neutralizing each other. But again, you got a guy like Carl Krauser, a slasher, a guy who's got some terrific ability in the paint. And you haven't lost a lot. He's actually more offensive-minded than Brandon Knight.
Actually older than Brandon Knight, even though he's a redshirt freshman and Knight's a senior. Knight got to school at the age of 17. But Krauser has learned a lot. He plays a much different style than the rest of the Panthers do, but he seems to have fit in just fine.
Remember, he was an amateur boxer, had a 2-0 record. I still wouldn't think that he's tougher than Brandon Knight.
Bell hangs 2 more for him. 10 already for Troy Bell.
And the loss of Craig Smith really puts a lot of pressure on Troy Bell to be able to score and keep his team in the game. He doesn't have a complement inside without Smith.
With Smith having 3 fouls left, can they possibly go the next 10 minutes without playing him at all? Do they have to play it safe?
We'll see, won't we? They're going to have to. I don't think Al Skinner can really take the risk of putting Smith in and risking that 4th foul, regardless of where the score is. He's just going to have to live with it for the half and hope that his team can stay in the game.
And again, that 3rd foul came on a technical foul. Techs also count as personal fouls, so you can imagine the responsibility that Troy Bell is feeling right now.
And you know what? He's a young man that handles it well, as you saw there. Again, before the game, he told me he's got to let this game come to him. I'm sure he didn't expect this. He's going to have to start kicking it up a gear, start putting his team on his back on the offensive end.
BC and Pittsburgh did not meet during the regular season. They have met each of the last 2 years in the Big East Championship. And in the championship game 2 years ago, Boston College defeated Pittsburgh last year. Pitt knocked out BC on the way to the championship game, where the Panthers lost in double overtime to Connecticut. Connecticut and Syracuse getting ready for the other semifinal immediately following this game right here on ESPN. Big night of hoops from New York City.
There's the heavy holds by Ontario Lett trying to flatten Troy Bell out.
Leave Dornekamp open. He misses the jumper. And Chevy Troutman playing on the bad ankle brings down the rebound. Troutman, a force at the offensive end around the basket. Shot better than 70% on the season. Now a 30-second timeout called by Ben Howland. Tonight, ESPN and ESPN2, the place to be for championship week action continuing at 9 Eastern. As we mentioned, second game tonight here from Madison Square Garden from the Conagra Foods Big East Championship, the other semifinal between Connecticut and Syracuse. Wow, what a game that should be. And over on ESPN2 at 9 Eastern, a quarterfinal from the ACC Tournament of Virginia taking on number 12 Duke, all a part of championship week presented by 7-Up. 3-point lead for Pittsburgh. Chevy Troutman getting some minutes. Weren't sure how much he would play. With more on Troutman, here's Dave Ryan.
Dan, he missed the last 2 games with that right ankle sprain. He couldn't play last night despite vigorous rehab treatment. Overnight, ice and electrical stimulation treatment from the Pitt trainers. He did participate in the shoot-around this morning and improved all day. But the trainer, Tony Salisi, says he'll have some trouble with lateral movement and pushing off, which is really a big part of his game because he uses strength down low. We'll see how much it affects him tonight.
Landed with Smith on the bench with foul trouble. If Troutman can play at his normal level, what does he bring to Pittsburgh?
Well, he certainly is a high percentage shooter, as Dave mentioned, very strong down low, but he also relies on some agility as well. He's got good footwork, able to drop step, get to the basket as well as offensive rebounds.
Julius Page with a 3. And Pittsburgh clicking on all cylinders right now. Page at the other end trying to guard Troy Bell, who's already got 10 points here tonight.
Well, we can talk about again where Boston College misses with Craig Smith on the bench on the offensive end, but it's got to get done on the D for Boston College.
Jerron Brown with a foul for Pittsburgh, his second.
And this is what I mean. It's got to get done with the D. You got to make sure you got your assignments. Julius Page, a terrific 3-point shooter. You got to find him.
Has really added that to his game over the last year or so. A terrific athlete as well who can get to the basket. Here is a player, as we mentioned earlier, Ryan Sidney, who kind of defies description. He's 6'2", but he's got the mentality of an inside guy. He averages almost 7 rebounds per game, almost 5 assists per game, but he's not a point guard, and he's not an inside guy. He's a forward. They list him as a 6'2" forward, lad, and he plays all over the floor and does all kinds of different things.
Well, Al Skinner just lets Ryan loose and shows him the ball and says, go get it.
And if you're wearing a different color uniform, get out of his way because he's going right through you to go get it. But he might have met his physical and mental match tonight in Jerron Brown, an equally tough player. Page from the baseline. Lett being held off by Dornicamp. And it's out of bounds to BC. Pittsburgh up by 6. Craig Smith in foul trouble. Big happenings here in New York City tonight.
You think of how accidents occur, how everything happens so fast. Then you think about how you can create anti-roll technology that reacts even faster. You think about that, then you build.
The new Volvo XC90, the only SUV equipped with a roll stability control system to help prevent rollover and guided by conscience.
On Selection Sunday, the choice is ESPN. At 5, we're first and exclusive with the NCAA Women's Bracket, plus live interviews with teams around the country. At 6, SportsCenter brings you the Men's Bracket with expert analysis plus all the sports news of the day. Then at 7, Hoops as a second language.
Gypsy Doo Dunkaroo, and you gotta have the stars, the PTPers, baby!
As professors Chris Digger and Dickie V teach Bracketology 101, presented by Staples. If you're filling out a bracket on Selection Sunday, start here.
Harley-Davidson of Nassau County. New and used Harleys. 2003's in stock and ready to ride.
Due to the harsh winter, we are forced to make the best deals in our 30-year history. Every model 100th anniversary Harley in stock and ready to ride. Take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime excess inventory blowout. Open house at Harley-Davidson of Hempstead, March 14th through the 16th. We are overstocked with Harleys. We guarantee you the best deals we have ever offered.
I read. I read.
I read.
I read. I read.
I read for the local news.
I read about my neighborhood.
I read Newsday every day to get ahead. I read to plan my weekend.
I read it cover to cover.
I read Newsday for my hometown teams. I read Newsday every day to stay informed.
I read Newsday for information I can't find anywhere else. I read Newsday every day.
I read Newsday every day.
I read Newsday every... I read Newsday every day.
Newsday every day. Newsday every day.
A
update from the Big 12. Most people figure Texas, #1 seed in the NCAA, and Texas Tech. You talk about zero momentum coming in. Only 6 conference wins all year, 2 losses to Texas, but they're knocking down threes like crazy in this game, up 17. On ESPN2, Maryland has the early lead over Carolina, and Temple, watch out for the Owls, up 4 on Xavier. It is early, though, guys.
Well, Chris, if Texas were to go on to lose that game, that would be most interesting to the folks in Pittsburgh who feel that nationally they still aren't getting enough respect, and that maybe if they were to win the Big East Championship, number 11 RPI, number 5 in the rankings, they've only lost 4 games, they've been in the top 10 the entire season, that maybe they deserve a #1 seed. What do you think about that play, Glenn?
Well, I think there's a legitimacy to it. Obviously, to get to the Big East Championship, they're going to have to go through a Syracuse or a surging UConn. And just as importantly, again, you look at the RPI, you look at strength of schedule. I don't think that plays in the seeding element as much as it does, you know, essentially what type of team are you, who are your key wins, you know, how powerful you are. And I think this is a powerful team, particularly on the defensive end.
Good offensive rebounding tonight. Page can't finish, and Sydney brings it down. But it remains to be seen how much weight the committee puts into the conference tournaments all around the country. Losses by teams such as Florida, Marquette, potentially Texas.
Hey, just because they lost, that's no excuse not to put a great deal of importance, because, again, you're playing top talent, or at least you should be getting to the point where you're playing the other high RPI, the other power teams in your conference.
Troy Bell, long 3, and there's Doricamp over the back, picking up his 2nd foul. And remember, Craig Smith on the bench with 3 fouls, and Boston College not a very deep team at all. And it looks like, Glenn, they're going to go extremely small right now. We'll see who is coming out as Hinnant goes in. And it is Dornicamp going out. So it's 4 guards and Bryant at 6'7". And there's a guy they'd love to have in uniform, Yuka Agbai, who suffered a fractured neck back in BC's 3rd game of the season against Holy Cross. Actually played the rest of the game. Was obviously in some pain, and it was the next day when the injury was diagnosed, and he has had to miss the rest of the season. A terrific player. Can you imagine the front line they would have had with Smith and Agbai in there at the same time?
Certainly would have increased Al Skinner's options. He can only dream of what could have been. But the fact is, in the here and now, he's going to have to pull some tricks out of his bag to keep his team in contention. You know, they are small, and we know Pittsburgh is a strong rebounding team as well as an excellent post-up team. You can expect them to go to their strengths on both ends of the court.
Let's go to Dave Ryan.
An amazing story of Yuka Agbai going up for a rebound against Holy Cross this year. Broke a neck in a tangle of bodies. Actually finished the game as Bryant loses the ball on the baseline. But he said he's really learned a lot about leadership from the coaches, because he's learned a lot about the game of basketball from an administrative standpoint and what goes into game plans. He feels it'll help a lot next year when he returns after getting his medical red shirt.
Well, spoken like a true student of the game.
All right, now with Agbai out and Dornicamp and Smith on the bench in foul trouble, BC has only 1 player taller than 6'4" on the floor. Pittsburgh's not the tallest team, but they're loading up with their inside guys right now. Lev, Troutman, and Zavatskis, all 6'6" or better, and all physical players all on the floor at the same time.
Right, it's not so much about height right now, it's about size. It's about the ability to spread out and get good position inside.
How about Sidney coming over for the block on Lev? He's not going to give an inch no matter how much bigger the other guys are.
Well, that's what I mean when you have to rise to the occasion. If you're going to play small, the small guys have to play tall. And that's what Ryan Sidney does right there. We talked about his toughness. You know, he's really a big man in a 6'2" body.
He broke his jaw last year and had it wired shut for weeks, but continued to play. The biggest problem for him, apparently, was not being able to talk as much as he likes to do, because he is one of the all-time whoopers out on the floor.
And I'm sure his team was thanking the heavens for that.
And his coach. But he's a talent, a very unusual personality and unusual player, but he makes a lot of things happen for Boston College. And Mike Kitts just saying to him, everything okay, Ryan? Because the kid is very emotional, and you kind of got to stay on top of him. But boy, he brings something to the table every night.
And that something is passion. He loves this game. He loves to win.
Well, the Eagles up against it, though, with the big guys in foul trouble. Pitt efficient offensively. Sydney and Boston College down by 10. And right now, Troy Bell is the only guy currently on the floor for the Eagles who has scored in this game. And that trend will not, well, it will continue, but he missed the shot on a great feed from Sidney. That ball did everything but go down.
And again, another lost opportunity for Boston College. When you're this much behind the 8 ball, you got to take everything you can get.
Bowser inside, muscles it up and in over Sidney.
And that's what Pittsburgh is going to do. They don't care who it is. Get down on that block and challenge Boston College inside.
Biggest lead of the game for Pittsburgh. Timeout Boston College. And how this game has changed. Pittsburgh has survived the Brandon Knight foul trouble. Boston College has not been able to play through the Craig Smith foul trouble. Tomorrow, a full day of college basketball continues on ESPN and ESPN2. See semifinal action from the ACC tournament on ESPN at 1:30 Eastern Time. North Carolina State, man, did they need that win today over Georgia Tech, taking on the regular season champions of Wake Forest. And on ESPN2 at 2 Eastern, Missouri against Kansas, one of the best rivalries in the country. How about the finish between Missouri and Oklahoma State today? For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Championship week has been full of surprises and full of fantastic finishes already.
Well, that's what it's all about. Again, we talk about parity. We talk about all season long. Why can't we expect that in these conference tournaments where anybody believes that they have a chance to win?
Well, Pittsburgh certainly believes they have a chance to win any game in which they play. They have been dominant inside. They have held BC scoreless for almost 5 minutes. Sidney to the post. Too strong for the jump hook. Pittsburgh out on the run. Krauser.
Well, you saw that Sidney shot. The reason they went to him because he's the only guy comfortable in the post.
Page too strong. Left, and he is fouled. You're right. Even Bryant, who's the 6'7" guy on the floor for BC, more comfortable taking threes.
Again, you got to continue to attack. You got BC down. You have them small up front. And look at the rebounding. Blue shirts everywhere. This is a team, again, you mentioned juniors and seniors. They know how to win. You know, they know how to put the hammer down and eventually put teams away, and that's what they're attempting to do.
But even Superman has his kryptonite, and as all fans in the Big East know, the problem for the Pitt Panthers is free throw shooting. Whether it's Brandon Knight, the point guard, some of the big guys. There are more than 300 Division I teams that have a better free throw percentage than Pittsburgh. They're in about the bottom 25 in the country. It may not catch up to you at times in the regular season, but as the competition gets better and better, it's bound to be a problem at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Any close game situation, they've got to be thinking about that, and that's the worst thing you want to do is have to think about free throws.
Nice drive by Jermaine Watson, and the Eagles score for the first time in more than 5 minutes.
But in a game like this, you score enough field goals, the free throws don't matter.
A trap on Troutman, who is forced to use a timeout.
Pitbull timeout. 30-second timeout for the Panthers. That's a 30.
Well, as we mentioned, these two teams have met in the Big East Championship each of the last 2 years. 2 years ago, it was in the championship game. Some familiar faces and some faces no longer on the college level. There's Xavier Singletary nailing the three for BC. Too much for the backcourt of Singletary and Troy Bell. That year was a sophomore, the co-Big East Player of the Year, along with Troy Murphy of Notre Dame. The Eagles roll to the Big East title. Pittsburgh again made it to the championship game again last year, but lost in double overtime to Connecticut in a game that you were here for, Len. One of the best games I think that any of us has ever seen in this conference.
Well, absolutely. That was one of the most suspenseful games, one that had you riveted and had me as a fan, and sometimes you're just speechless. I'm sure people are happy about that.
And we could have a rematch of last year's championship game here with the Big East Championship if Pittsburgh can beat BC and if Connecticut can win the second semifinal. But certainly Syracuse is going to have a whole lot to say about that. The Orangemen are playing awfully well right now, and everybody here at Madison Square Garden is looking forward to game number 2 between the Orangemen and the Huskies. Krauser getting a lot of minutes. Knight sitting out with 2 fouls. And what a capable backup he is. Got to get a shot off. Good if it goes. No. Tim Higgins looked like he was going to count it, but Mike Kidd said no. The shot would not count. So it's a shot clock violation, the second of the game already on Pittsburgh.
Well, again, another good trip on the defensive end for Boston College. They did a nice job of extending the defense, making it difficult for Pittsburgh, who wants to get it inside.
Krauser called for the foul for Pittsburgh. That is his second. If BC can keep it at 10 or less into halftime with Craig Smith a non-factor here in the first half, the Eagles, I would think, have to be pretty happy. Pittsburgh is used to playing more without Brandon Knight than BC is used to playing without Craig Smith.
Well, there's no question about it. We talk about the inside-out complement. Craig Smith makes Troy Bell's job a heck of a lot easier when he's down there and is a willing and able outlet down low. And also a guy that you can throw the ball to, force the defense to collapse, and find Troy Bell roaming along the perimeter.
The Panthers 24-4 on the season, 13-3 in the Big East, and on 2 separate occasions were ranked number 2, and had they won their next game would have been the number 1 team in the country, something this program has never achieved, but they lost both times. BC 18-10, 10-6 in the league, but they were the champions of the East Division, which during the regular season was the weaker of the 2 divisions.
Now, Dan, that pressure that Boston College is applying, he's doing a nice job of slowing the Pittsburgh attack down. They're out of rhythm a little bit right now. Once they get it over, they focus so much on getting over half court. When they get into half court, they're having difficulty finding the right people.
Foul on Ontario led. We'll turn it back over to BC. And we've got a timeout on the floor. 3:54 to play.
Welcome to Puppy Dog Home, and the Big Puppy may help you.
Think about it, Judy. What makes a puppy dog puff?
Where'd you come from?
Uptown.
Uptown? Uptown.
Way uptown.
Oh.
Here, try a delicious Hebrew National hot dog instead. They're 100% pure kosher beef. Nothing artificial. It's the hot dog you can always trust.
We'll take 6.
Hebrew National. We answer to a higher authority. Conagra Foods. Bringing big taste to the Big East.
Introducing Intel Centrino mobile technology. The new wireless laptop technology designed to help you untangle, unburden, and unwire your life.
The key to outdoor advertising? Location. So I put my 7-Up billboard where people spend all their time outdoors. At a ski resort. Ooh! Now that's a billboard with stopping power. Yeah. Woo!
You gelling? No telling how much I'm gelling. You gelling? I'm gelling like a felon. Quit yelling. We're gelling. Right.
Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are so soft, they make any shoe feel outrageously comfortable. Are you gelling yet? Dr. Scholl's.
We hope you'll stick around for the 7-Up halftime report. The craziness of yesterday and this afternoon, Digger, just carrying over to tonight.
Because this is the second season. The conference season is over. Conference tournaments are wild. You're not going to believe some of the games that happen this afternoon as well as early.
The General winning big and Kentucky's losing. Let's relax. It's very, very early.
All right, Chris, thank you. We're looking forward to checking out the 7-Up halftime report. Here with the Conagra Foods Big East Championship, Dan Schulman, Len Elmore, Dave Ryan, and a packed house here at Madison Square Garden for not one, but 2 games. BC and Pittsburgh in one semifinal, and then Syracuse and Connecticut in the second. The story of this game, BC's attempt to play through foul trouble by Craig Smith. Brandon Knight is also out. Knight's got 2. Smith has 3. And BC is keeping this a slow-paced, low-scoring affair with a very, very small lineup on the floor. Only one player taller than 6'4". Bell with a miss, and the rebound to Krauser.
Well, right now, Boston College really scrambling on the defensive end, trying to play the passing lanes, trying to pressure the passers, prevent that ball from going inside, because that's the Achilles heel right now. That's their weak spot.
Ben Howland is trying to match the lineups here as the Panthers get called for another foul. It'll be Troutman's second. Ben Howland going smaller, and Yuri Dimitris is into the game. He doesn't play all that often at crunch time.
Well, again, you look at the battle. Ryan Sidney, we told you that he's a big man in a little man's body. He wants to get down there and keep Troutman off that block. You know, I'm a little bit surprised that Pittsburgh, rather than make Boston College adjust to them, has adjusted to Boston College. And sometimes that can get you in trouble.
Again, Dimitris in there because Ben Howland's going smaller, but Knight's on the bench with a couple of fouls. And right now, Al Skinner's got to be pretty pleased about the way the last 5 or 6 minutes have gone. Sunday on ABC, it's NBA action between the Dallas Mavericks and the Sacramento Kings. Plain and simple, two of the best teams in the league in their last meeting. Chris Webber and the Kings won in overtime. NBA Sundays on ABC. We got hoops. Foul trouble starting to pile up a little bit on the Panthers right now. Jerron Brown, Brandon Knight, Chevy Troutman, and Carl Krauser each with 2 fouls. But again, the Panthers with superior depth to that of the Eagles.
And the tempo also favors Pittsburgh. Boston College, they're accustomed to playing in the 80s. You know, that's not going to happen tonight unless somebody just sits down on the defensive end and gives the other guy his way.
Well, we'll go about 3 overtimes. Three-pointer, no. Couple of Eagles had the rebound, but lost it to Zavotskis.
Well, again, those guys are unaccustomed to being under the boards and battling for rebounds. Even Andrew Bryant at 6'7" is really a perimeter player. We got to go back to fundamentals, and possession is most important.
Zavotskis with 8. Bryant. Short on the 3. Troutman the rebound. Off to Krauser. Troutman running the floor well. Gives it back to Krauser. Zavotskis, another rebound, and 2 more.
Well, we mentioned it time and again. It's about the size differential. Zavotskis at 6'8". Here we are on the fast break. Boston College gets back decent enough. But there's Zavotskis right there, towering over everyone else for the putback. And once again, guys who are unaccustomed to playing underneath that basket are forced to make do. And Bryant not able to stop him, and no one able to stop Zavotskis from getting the offensive rebound.
Zavotskis had 16 points yesterday in the win over Providence, all of them coming in the second half. He's already got 11 points here tonight, and the expression on the face of Craig Smith says it all. It has been a long 8 or 9 minutes for him on the bench in foul trouble. Got a personal his second, and then was part of a double technical, so his third, and has not played since.
Right now, Boston College just trying to spread the floor, move it, and shoot jump shots with no inside presence. You know, that's a tall order to be able to be successful against Pittsburgh. Again, the best defense in the Big East and among the best in the country.
Just trying to get to halftime are the Eagles without too big of a deficit. Krauser, and a little bit out of control, finds Page. Dimitris for 3. And another offensive rebound, and Zavotskis gets a timeout as he's falling out of bounds. 7th offensive rebound in this game for the Panthers to just 1 for the Eagles. Well, tonight, ESPN and ESPN2 are the place to be for championship week action. It continues at 9 Eastern. Len and I will bring you the second semifinal from right here in New York, the Conagra Foods Big East Championship. Connecticut and Syracuse, or on ESPN2, a quarterfinal from the ACC as unranked Virginia takes on number 12 Duke. Championship week presented by 7-Up on ESPN and ESPN2. So 1:19 to go, and Pittsburgh starting to lengthen that lead in large part due to Donatas Zavotskis. Let's check in with Dave Ryan.
Yeah, Danny's had a nice first half. Imagine being in his shoes at 17 years old on a plane leaving his native Lithuania for the U.S. for the first time to play prep school ball. He knew 2 words of English back then, hi and bye. Donatas says he wanted the plane to turn around and go home. First few months in the U.S. were very difficult. He knew no one, had to point to things he wanted. A pretty tough start to his U.S. hoops career. Now he's completely adjusted. As a senior, a real team leader for Pitt.
He's described as tough and gritty and stubborn and all the things that Ben Howland loves in his players. This Pittsburgh Panther team is one of the most physical and mentally tough, not just physically tough, mentally tough teams I think that you'll see in college basketball.
And that's attributable to the fact that they've got veterans, guys who have been through season after season. have taken the good and the bad and put it together into a successful experience.
Had a great year last year. Got as far as the Sweet 16 before losing to Kent State. So again, they feel as good as they've been. There are still a couple of steps they need to take this season with these three seniors. Krauser, and another block by Sidney. Saved by Bell.
Again, a couple of good defensive sequences, and I can't say enough about Ryan Sidney doing his Emeka Okafor imitation. That's two.
Now a call goes against the Eagles. We've had a lot of fouls off the ball here tonight. That one, I believe, is Watson.
Again, here's Krauser, and look at Sidney at 6'2", laying in the bushes, laying in the weight, trying to make a statement. Like I said, he's doing his Emeka Okafor imitation, although about 6 inches below the rim.
Leaving it all on the floor tonight is Ryan Sidney.
Yeah, you got to admire the hustle, especially in his case. Again, playing in a position, as we said, he's not accustomed to playing, but that was pretty good post D.
Panthers are going to try to hold it for the final shot. Up 12. Some moderate foul trouble for them. Some serious foul trouble for the Eagles. Really, the big stories here in the first half.
But Boston College can get some confidence if they make a stop here.
Krauser spinning into the paint. Kicks it to Zavotskis for three. And that will end the first half. Zavotskis thought he was fouled. Pitt on a 14-5 run over the last 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Coinciding with Craig Smith picking up that technical in his third foul. And now the half is not over. It's a shot clock violation. Technically, there was a half second left between the game clock and the shot clock. And when Zavotskis' shot didn't hit anything, BC's going to get the ball back left.
Well, I think BC would rather have an opportunity to get in that locker room right now and kind of regroup. I expect them just to toss it in and walk off.
Third shot clock violation against the Panthers here in this first half. Ryan Sidney to inbound it for BC.
As long as nothing goes wrong here, Boston College should feel terrific about themselves. The way they held on just to be 12 points down, as decimated as they are without Craig Smith. Look at this.
Just take a knee, right? Get into the locker room.
Exactly.
Zavotskis with a big half for Pittsburgh. Brandon Knott on the bench in foul trouble with 2 for the Panthers. Craig Smith, though, with 3 in the first 10 minutes of this game. BC will try to rally in the second half. They are down a dozen. Back to Chris Fowler.
All right, Dan, thank you. Welcome to our 7-Up halftime report. Digger Phelps alongside. One of the developing stories and a potential surprise. Big 12 down in Dallas. Texas Tech. Will Chavis, second three-pointer of the game. A quick start against the Longhorns. Then Will Chavis, another 3. And Nathan Dowdney, he's a guy that averages a robust 4 points a game. He has been raining threes. Texas Tech can't miss. Not great defense for the Longhorns.
8 out of 10 threes, didn't pick them up. Really improves. James Thomas on the bench early, which really hurt Texas. 2 fouls, only played 7 minutes. That's why I think Texas controlled the boards.
13 straight wins by the Longhorns over Texas Tech. They are down 18. We'll keep you posted when the second half gets underway. Earlier, a thriller in the Big 12, Missouri and Oklahoma State. Tony Allen in a 2-point game, steps inside, knocks down the jumper. Oklahoma State leads by 3. Then Jimmy McKinney. This is a crucial bucket. Gets the hoop, hammered, hits the free throw, ties it at 58. McKinney again. He'll get blocked. But the ball goes to Trayvon Bryant, who just beats the buzzer with the roll in. The Tigers win it 60-58. They advance to a meeting with Kansas. They played the Jayhawks tough twice. Just lost a thriller at home to UK.
Jimmy McKinney played a great game. 16 points for a freshman. Unbelievable. Shooting the threes. Paulding and Clemens were only 3 for 14. That hurt Mizzou.
The rest of a wild afternoon evening. When we come back, Kentucky continues to trail. We'll tell you about it.
ESPN's presentation of the 2003 ConAgra Foods Big East Championship is brought to you by The Neighborhood, built by MCI. And check out the new H2 at Hummer.com. Hummer like nothing else.
Do you know what unlimited means in the neighborhood? It means you can call your brother in Toledo for 2 minutes. And your mother in San Diego for 2 hours. And the pizza guy down the street right now. And every call is the same. Call anyone in the country, talk as long as you want, as often as you want, for one low monthly price. Rack 'em up, people.
Call 1-800-JOIN-MCI today. The neighborhood, where local and long distance come together.
I'll get this. Getting a really low rate on this card.
Well, I hope it's a low fixed rate, like my Capital One no-hassle card.
Low and fixed? So what's going to happen to my rate?
Get the Capital One no-hassle card for the nation's lowest fixed rates and no balance transfer fees.
What's in your wallet?
I'm going to miss it when we move.
I've never been without it.
Are you suffering from separation anxiety? Afraid you'll be without cable in your new home? If you're moving in the tri-state area and want to connect to your new cable company, just call 1-800-OK-CABLE.
Have your new phone number or zip code ready. We'll do the rest. It's that simple.
There's hope.
One less thing to think about when you have so much on your mind. We'll always be connected.
It's your move. Stay connected.
Get a room.
When the feeling of romance comes over you and you're in need of some privacy, check into the Courtesy Hotel. Our newly decorated rooms with king-size beds, big screen TVs, and continental breakfast is a perfect place to get away. The Courtesy Hotel, 130 Hempstead Avenue in West Hempstead.
Hey, why don't you get a room?
Welcome to the 7-Up Halftime Report.
And welcome back, Pittsburgh. Defensively strangling the Eagles up by a dozen at halftime for a spot in the Big East Finals. Welcome back to the 7-Up Halftime Report. Chris Fowler and Digger Phelps. Of course, New Orleans is the site of the Final Four. It's also the scene of the SEC tournament down there. And with what's going on this afternoon, could it be Kentucky? 106-44 winners over Vanderbilt in the regular season finale. Whoa! Yeah, early on, Brian Thornton, the big dog. The Commodores making a statement. They had a 9-point lead against Kentucky, but, you know, order is going to be restored eventually. Bogan's ahead for the dunk. That ties things up. But Vanderbilt, obviously, you know, your pride is wounded. The big three, Vanderbilt back on top. They snapped the 9-game losing streak by beating Bama yesterday. This would be the upset of the century if they get this done.
Well, like we say, it's early yet. I think Kentucky's going to wake up earlier than later.
I understand. This was not a big shocker, really, because LSU had been playing really well. But Florida comes in off a 2-game losing streak, and this one went to the wire. Jaime Lareda, strong play on both ends of the court for Lareda. LSU had the lead. Florida trying to fight from behind much of this game. Matt Walsh, the big three, makes it a 3-point game. Florida cuts into it again. Anthony Roberson. Off the steal by Justin Hamilton. Now it's a 1-point game in a final 2.5 minutes. Florida trying to take the lead. But watch this block as Matt Bonner makes the strong move. Lareda across the lane to reject it. Dupree comes up with the ball. LSU would hit the free throw, but this chance by Roberson doesn't go. Then they 4 down in the closing seconds. That wouldn't do it. John Brady's Bayou Bengals, no doubt they're in the field, but now they're a game away from the finals.
Well, LSU had a 13-point lead at halftime, but Ronald Dupree kept this team alive. When you look at Mississippi State, they got it done. Great game today from what they did inside with Mario Austin. I just love how he plays in the paint. Big win. It's going to be a good matchup. Mississippi State against LSU.
Now to the ACC. NC State perhaps needed a win today as badly as any team. They need a couple more maybe as well. Julius Hodge kicks it out to Scooter Sherrill, who bangs in the 3-point against Georgia Tech. 10-point Wolfpack lead. And Jarrett Jack will drive and lay it in. NC State, impressive today?
Absolutely impressive, but Georgia Tech will not go away. Played very solid, got a lot of things done in transition. State had a fight for this one.
Marcus Melville in a tie game. This was a big shot. Melvin drops the jumper in, 2-point game, and then Melvin, the three-pointer, puts the game away. NC State, 71-65. But really, Digger, with the RPI that's dicey and top 50 record, need another win?
Well, I think they need another win. When you look at how they won games, their losses were horrible. When you look at UMass and Temple, then, of course, they lost to BC at home, and we saw Gonzaga just drill them in the Jimmy V Classic back in December.
Maryland tonight jumped on NC early, but Carolina only down 4 at the break now.
They played very well since they upset Duke on Sunday. This team has a lot of momentum. This will be a tough second half for Gary Williams, Steve Blake, and the Terps.
That's on ESPN2, as is Duke, Virginia, a little bit later on. So you think the Wolfpack must beat Wake Forest?
You know, it's going to be interesting, Chris, because there's so many teams out there that have lost games today, as well as the mid-majors. You know, when you look at all those teams like Gonzaga, Butler, Southern Illinois, they're going to get in.
We're going to talk about the Big Ten when we come back.
This halftime report is presented by 7-Up and DNL, the new kick of green from 7-Up.
The key to outdoor advertising? Location. So I put my 7-Up billboard where people spend all their time outdoors. At a ski resort. Ooh! Now that's a billboard with stopping power. Woo!
It's Think Big Month at Sonic, featuring our biggest burger ever, the Big Cheese. 2 beef patties, 3 slices of smoky cheddar cheese, topped with bacon and a special honey pepper sauce, and made to order. The Big Cheese. Only at Sonic.
A journey to the Final Four. It might just start here on Daryl Newman's driveway, where they can work, they can sweat, or they can go to planters.com, where they can win courtside seats to this year's Final Four. Just log on, scratch off, and Planters might just send you up close and personal to the 2003 Final Four. Far, far away from Daryl Newman's driveway. Go nuts at the Final Four.
Down there.
Excuse me, is there a Bank of America ATM around here?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Just around the corner at Field and Griffin.
There's another one at the theater.
Down there by the post office.
Down 9th and Main. Right by the deli. River, there's one on Crescent. Another one right across the courtyard. You know what? Right across the way.
More ATMs where you need them.
There's one more, right?
From Bank of America.
Yeah.
Higher standards.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final bidding. From A to Z, from there to here, I shop the world, all while I'm sitting brand new and collectibles, thank you, on the information superhighway. You'll save more and find things like this when you do it eBay.
This halftime report is presented by 7-Up and DNL, the new kick of green from 7-Up.
Well, underway in Dallas in the second half. James Thomas is scoreless, has 3 fouls, and Texas is still down big.
And as you notice, he's staying in the game. He's got to play him tough. Loss.
This is a woodshed beating Illinois, clobbering Northwestern for a spot in the Big Ten semis. This was not a woodshed beating earlier on. Good one. Ohio State and Wisconsin. Kirk Penny knocks down the triple early going. Badgers playing like the regular season champs. But later, Ohio State would go on a run here. Sean Conley on fire today.
He did it all for them when Brent Darby didn't play well, had 21 points, really had focus on the offense.
A 3-point duel. Penny and Conley going back and forth, and then 3-point game when Zach Williams badly misses the shot. Ball ends up in Vidinovich's hand. And he lays it in. 2 wins in 2 days for the Buckeyes, who next take on the Spartans.
Big win for Ohio State. Jimmy O'Brien did a great job mixing in zones and kept Kurt Penny and Wisconsin intact.
Every year in the Big Ten, some low seed makes a run. We showed you this game earlier, at least the finish of it. Louisville and Memphis was a thriller, back and forth. Bryant Northern from the wing. John Grice, a big game in transition, knocks him down, then knocks down the deep triple. Memphis and Louisville back and forth here. Taekwon Dean down 2, puts Louisville up with the triple, and then up the court comes Antonio Burks at the buzzer for the tie. Doesn't go, and Patino's crew marches on.
What's amazing, Reese Gaines fouls out in 20 minutes. Chris Massey fouls out in 22 minutes.
Louisville on their home court in the Conference USA Final. Garden second half coming up.
ESPN's presentation of the 2003 ConAgra Foods Big East Championship is brought to you by Intel Centrino Mobile Technology, laptop technology designed to unwire your life, and John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer.
Healthy Choice knows the secret to preparing healthy, great-tasting meals. One word: grilled. That's why Healthy Choice created mixed grills, like chicken with barbecue sauce. We start with lean, tender chicken breast, then grill to sear in flavor. Add a generous portion of crisp, tasty vegetables, and serve with a tangy dipping sauce. Healthy Choice created mixed grills to satisfy your appetite to eat right. ConAgra Foods, bringing big taste to the Big East.
Introducing Intel Centrino Mobile Technology. The new wireless laptop technology designed to help you untangle, unburden, and unwire your life.
Little boy asks his neighbors why they're always working on their yard. Neighbor looks up. Nothing more relaxing. Nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty, she adds. Little boy's dad asks how they manage it all. Neighbor nods across the yard. Nothing runs like a deer. John Deere lawn and garden tractors. Durability, precision, versatility, and exclusive support for everyone who puts more into their yard and expects more out of their tractor.
Just knowing them made you feel cool, powerful, brilliant, inspired you to fall in love and change the world. Now, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honors the Police, AC/DC, Elvis Costello and the Attractions, the Righteous Brothers, and the Clash. With special guests U2, Billy Joel, Gwen Stefani, Steven Tyler, and Elton John. The 2003 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, Sunday, March 16th at 9, 8 Central, only on VH1.
The 2003 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. Watch VH1 on Cablevision.
When I wear black, even a little dandruff shows. My old dandruff shampoo just wasn't cutting it. So I switched to Selsun Blue Moisturizing Shampoo. Doctor recommended for flakes and itch with aloe and moisturizers for healthier hair and scalp. Never wear black without the blue. Selsun Blue.
Use an ordinary pain rub on your arthritis and everyone knows it. Use odor-free Aspercreme instead and get clinically proven fast-acting pain relief no one knows about but you. Aspirin-free Aspercreme. Fast pain relief no one knows about but you.
Biggie's turning New York City. Hit the court, have no fear. Get out on the floor.
On one of basketball's biggest stages, two of the brightest lights in this conference took center stage, but then one went to the bench with foul trouble. Troy Bell tried to pick up the slack for Craig Smith, who sat up with 3 fouls. Donatas Zavadskis stepped up for Pittsburgh in the first half with 11 points, 7 rebounds led. And the Panthers like what they see. They are up 12 points on the Eagles heading to the second half here with the ConAgra Foods Big East Championship in New York. Championship week presented by 7-Up. We expected physical and low scoring. What we didn't expect was fouls to be the dominant story of the first half.
Well, we certainly didn't, and obviously that's Al Skinner's worst nightmare, having Craig Smith on the bench. Take a look at the second chance points and the offensive rebounding. That's what Pittsburgh did. They had to assert themselves, assert their size advantage to get to this lead. And in fact, we're still wondering with all the problems that Boston College has had, how they're able to even hang around.
Yeah, the Intel first half stats suggest they should be down by about 25 instead of 12, making only 4 field goals in the first half. One of them in the last 10 minutes when Smith was on the bench in foul trouble. Jerron Brown, meanwhile, just picked up number 3. Let's go to Dave Ryan.
Yeah, foul trouble down, big theme of the first half for each team. As for Pitt, they want to continue the strong physical play, especially inside. With Ontario Let, they want BC to really feel the punishment every time they try to get to the ball, and of course get Smith his 4th foul. For BC, better care of the ball. They had 7 first half turnovers and better rebounding. We saw the stats a minute ago. They're out-rebounded 24-10 in the first half. They're going to play Smith, though, the entire second half until he fouls out.
Well, they pretty much have to. Now Brandon Knight takes a shot, rebounding under the basket. As Lewis Hinnant picked up his 3rd. Well, Craig Smith fouled out of 3 games during the season, and Len had 4 fouls in 14 other games, as you see Hinnant crashing in tonight. But despite all of those fouls, he averaged 32 minutes per game. So he's got to be pretty good at playing in foul trouble.
Well, again, it tells you that the freshman is maturing as time goes on and understanding how to be out there with those fouls and still be effective. The question is, again, against a team like Pittsburgh that has the ability to execute, to go where they need to go with the ball, you wonder if Craig Smith is going to get out of this game earlier than he expected to. And that time he wasn't even looking at the play on the alley-oop.
Well, if you've seen any Pittsburgh games in person or on TV this season, you've seen that play. Knight to Page. Now Brown to Page. And what a job by Bell to get back on D. Now the player of the year in the conference answers at the other end. His first points since the 10-minute mark of the first half. But he does have 12 of BC's 19.
We had a chance to see why he was player of the year. Not only can he score, but he puts forth the effort. And that time after the miss, he hustled down in what appeared to be a breakaway and made a play.
Bell averaged better than 25 per game this season and about 30 per game over the last 12. BC at the beginning of the season looked like they might struggle to get to the 500 mark. Instead, they were 10-6 in the league and 18-10 overall and won the East Division. Lent slides by Dornekamp and lays it in.
Well, Ontario Let, we talk about his quickness. Again, he got the much bigger Dornekamp out of position, just using that nice footwork and the step through.
6'6", working on a 7-footer. Zavatskis, the job of D'ing up on Smith right now. By the way, if you're wondering how good Smith is, as Lett picks up the foul, his second, Smith had 33 points and 11 rebounds yesterday in the win over St. John's.
Well, here's what Brandon Knight brings. He was out a lot of the first half as well, but, you know, he's the orchestrator. He's the guy that makes everybody understand where they need to be, and then he rewards them for being in the right spot.
A foul on Lett, his second. Dornekamp from the baseline. A little strong. Rebound, Brandon Knight.
And it's obvious Pittsburgh is going to play 5-on-4. They're going to let Dornekamp shoot all they want.
Page for 3. It's his night so far. Page now with a dozen. Named for Dr. J, so maybe it was destiny that he would turn into a terrific basketball player. Now the Pittsburgh fans, and they brought a lot of people here to New York. Hollander now defense. They get their wish, but Bell makes his second strong defensive play of the half, and Smith lays it in and draws a touch foul on Brandon Knight, I believe. And if it is Knight, it's his third.
Well, you just got to be
it's Page's first. Sorry, Len.
But you got to be impressed with Troy Bell. I mean, his team sees their Big East championship hopes slipping away, and he's still putting forth the effort. And a nice job on the steal. There he finds Smith down on the baseline. And Julius Page, as you mentioned, once he heats up, he's a streak shooter. He can bury it all night if given the room. And yeah, I know you got some heart. Got some game too.
Smith knocks down the free throw, so he's got 5, averaged 20 a game during the season. And Boston College just trying to hang around, get some stops, and get some momentum at the offensive end.
And that's why you see them in the full court press. They have to continue to scramble as they did without Smith in order to protect Smith.
Led with a miss on the jump hook. Good hustle by Page. Finds Knight, and he's fouled. Julius Page making all the plays here tonight. Lewis Hinnant picks up the foul, his 4th. So Hinnant out. Jermaine Watson will come in for him. A loss, but obviously not as big a loss as Smith was in the first half. And here is Brandon Knight, the senior, the captain, the heart and soul of the Panthers at the line, but the guy who has struggled so mightily with free throw shooting the entire season, at 54%. He had been doing very well until the final game of the regular season against Villanova, when he missed 5 in a row down the stretch, and the undermanned Wildcats almost came back to win the game. And do we have a violation, Len, or a foul?
A lane violation appears to be.
Violation. Zavotskis in early, so that nullifies the second attempt, which he missed anyways. And look at the numbers. Consistently a problem for him through all 4 years of his career. Best numbers actually as a sophomore. Smith working hard inside, and he's going to pile up some fouls on the Pittsburgh big guys.
And that time the double team came over. Ontario Lett once again left Dornicamp in order to double on Smith, and Smith just stepped through the double. Look at his strength right here, establishing himself. Now here's the double team. Smith just goes right through that and draws the foul. He's going to get as much mileage as he can while he's in this game.
6'7" and 265, lightly recruited out of high school. He hadn't yet trimmed down and then bulked up. Lost the baby fat and got some muscle. Oregon State offered him a scholarship, then rescinded the offer. Al Skinner heard about him, got a look at him, offered him a scholarship. He went to prep school for a year last year and really worked on his body. As you can see, he did some good work on his body and has had an outstanding freshman season. Again, if it were not for Carmelo Anthony, Craig Smith would be getting a whole lot more publicity as one of the, if not the best freshman in America.
And I find that interesting because if you look at his game, he's so fundamentally sound down on the block, got a good touch on the free throw line. You know, your body can change, but he's doing things that you can't teach. A lot of coaches are second-guessing themselves as to why they passed on this young man.
Well, you look at the makeup of this whole BC team. Troy Bell overlooked in the state of Minnesota. Ryan Sidney thought to be too small in the state of Michigan. Al Skinner's put together a team here of players not highly thought of by other power conferences. Got a foul against BC. And it is on Smith, his 4th. Big trouble for BC here in the second half, especially if Pittsburgh keeps executing like this.
If you're filling out a bracket on Selection Sunday, the choice is ESPN.
You describe yourself as a moderately risky investor. In that case, how comfortable would you be if in the short term your portfolio value declined by, say, 30%?
How short is short term?
You have to ride these things out. Not acceptable.
I'm looking farther down the road than that.
I'm going to suggest we modify your risk tolerance to fairly conservative.
Yeah.
Building wealth begins with a relationship, and our financial advisors know it. UBS Payne Weber.
I'm a regular guy, but sometimes I can be such a dunce. Like when I go on vacation. I always wonder if I'm paying too much for the rental car. Then I heard about the Dollar Rent-A-Car website at dollar.com. The rates were so good, I couldn't contain my excitement. Saving money was so quick and easy, and wow, my Dollar rental car was right at the airport. Next time, you know where to go.
I'm fastball. Buy me, buy me. Me have a fastball. You don't fastball. Fastball, baby. Buy me, buy me.
Ever wonder how the world's most sophisticated credit card systems can process millions of transactions all around the world, all at the same moment in time? They rely on the world's most capable networking company, AT&T.
Yo, fuzzball!
Listen up, lug nuts. Pop quiz time. What happens to an engine with too much friction? I'll tell you, it loses power. So you want to reduce friction, right, Tinkerbell? This is new Quaker State. Engineered to deliver a 10% lower coefficient of friction. In other words, it's even better than before, because too much friction. Touchy little gearhead, ain't he? Nice haircut. New Quaker State, the power to reduce friction. What more do you need to know?
Update from the A-10, where Temple's one of those potential bid stealers. Cinderella's in the tournament, taking on Xavier here. Polk the steal to David Hawkins. Eventually, Polk knocks it in. Temple trying to get to 500 for the first time all season. Continues to lead. Texas making inroads, only down 10 points on it. Texas Tech midway second half, guys.
Steelers in the Big Ten and the Pac-10 as well. Big trouble here for Boston College in the Big East, down 13. Take a look at Craig Smith's fourth foul. What do you think?
Well, you give Zavascus a lot of credit for drawing it to the officials' attention with an acting job. But I'll tell you what, as critical as this game is for both of these teams, that was a play on. Officials got to swallow the whistle. This game has been far more physical than this guy Craig Smith trying to establish position in that situation.
So Smith has only been able to play 13 minutes in this game. He's got 7 points. Troutman inside, no. Bryant the rebound, and again BC losing their second most important player, and that means number 1, Troy Bell, their most important player. He's going to have to really get huge in this game if they're going to compete. He finds Sidney for 3. Dornicamp with the offensive rebound, and a hold is called on the Panthers. Zavascus, I believe. Let's go to Dave Ryan.
Dan, the BC coaches told us before the game tonight they were very concerned about Donatas Zavascus and his dramatic body language on the court. A big play with Craig Smith a moment ago and his fourth foul of the game. They actually warned their players that Donatas will tend to act a bit. Guys, I think he fits in pretty well. Broadway back in business, a few blocks up town, right?
Well, if he needs a job during the day, maybe go to a matinee tomorrow.
And Ontario Lent. Again, you ever see a bear fly through the air? Big fella, moving those feet, getting those hands up. Terrific defensive play by Ontario Lett.
There aren't many guys who look like that, who can move like that in basketball or any other sport. Bell gets a screen. Doesn't need much to get free. And Troy Bell brings the Eagles back within 10. He has 15 of Boston College's 27 points. Zavascus, you've got to respect him out there beyond the arc. 46% three-point shooting. Here comes Page off the screen. Zavascus in the corner. The 3 no good with a rebound to Page. He'll step right back in. Nobody's guarding him. Sidney with a rebound. Sidney on the break. Sidney to Bell. And Zavascus got back to the shot. Oh, look at this. I mean, this is Big East basketball, is it not? Zavascus a wide open 3. Automatic.
Well, Troy Bell thought he was fouled on his drive to the basket. And not only did he not get a call, Pittsburgh comes back the other way and makes Boston College pay.
Zavascus led now with 14. Bell, a little bit out of his range right there, and it's Bryant over the back with a foul.
Well, here's the drive right here, and Zavascus goes up right on his arm. Unbelievable. And Zavascus on the other end. You know, no good deed goes unpunished.
The officiating seems to be a topic of conversation a lot in games that Pittsburgh plays in, and because of how physical they are, and they blur the line sometimes, Len, between what's clean and what's not clean, what's a good play and what's a foul. No fuzziness, no blurriness at all, though, on Zavascus when he gets an open look. He's got 17 points.
Well, it's about reputation, though. Pittsburgh known to be a physical team. They've taken their share of fouls. You know, they've had guys foul out, but they continue to remain aggressive, and that's to their credit.
How about Zavascus with a steal, doing it all at both ends. Knight, an open 3. Zavascus, what hustle for the rebound.
Well, Nate Dornicamp, his feet are locked in cement right now. He's got to move his feet, use that big body to screen off and get some rebounds. I mean, it's gotten to the point of desperation that Al Skinner has sent Craig Smith to the scorer's table to come back in the game with 4 fouls.
And 13 minutes left, but he's really got no choice. Jerron Brown for 3. Lett. Out of bounds to Pittsburgh. And Craig Smith will come back into this game with 12:47 to play. When he's been in there, the first 10 minutes of the game and about the first 6 minutes of this half, BC has played almost even with Pittsburgh, but when he's been out, it's been a disaster for the Eagles.
And Smith replaced Dornicamp, and that's the problem. You got a big guy in the middle. You got to get some rebounds. You can't just stand in one place, and Dornicamp really hurt his team defensively.
Torrey Morris into the game for the first time now for Pittsburgh, taking the place of Ontario Lett. Lett sits down with 3. Jerron Brown playing with 3, but obviously the big story, Craig Smith back in there with 4. Morris being in there for Pittsburgh might help Smith. He is not as much of an offensive force as Ontario Lett is.
Well, Smith he's banging bodies right now, which is a huge mistake considering the way the officials are calling. You know, let the game breathe a little bit before you start getting back in the form.
Knight with the shot clock winding down, rolls in a left-handed runner.
And Brandon Knight went right at Craig Smith, knowing that Smith could do nothing.
The co-player of the year last year in this league, second-team All-Big East performer this season, and his shooting numbers dropped. But still the heart and soul of this Pittsburgh team. Watson sneaks by.
We talked about Boston College. They can score in bunches now. The question is, though, defensively, with Smith having a foul trouble down low, can they make stops? You can get up on Pittsburgh. You can force them to drive. They get around you. You got nobody to erase.
There's Jerron Brown. Had a pretty good look. Smith brings down the rebound. BC on the run. First rebound of the night for Craig Smith. Watson feeling it. Had the shot blocked. You go into the paint at your own risk against Pittsburgh. That's off Brown. Out of bounds.
When we talk about Brandon Knight being a bright player, Ben Howland calls him the Einstein of college basketball. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Takes it to Craig Smith, can't do anything. It's all relative.
There's something in your store that's shaking things up. Banquet Homestyle Bakes. Why? Because now the original box dinner is packed with even more butterball chicken to go with those savory vegetables and that golden biscuit topping for a complete real meal. So you can bank on Banquet to give you even more chicken, more beef, or more turkey. Banquet Homestyle Bakes. It's all you need to pick up. Conagra Foods, bringing big taste to the Big East.
Introducing the 7-Up Parade Balloon. It's going to make people want the refreshing taste of 7-Up. And it's completely realistic. I even gave it a pull tab. Whoa! Someone must have shook the can!
Introducing Intel Centrino mobile technology. The new wireless laptop technology designed to help you untangle, unburden, and unwire your life.
Disciplined investing. At T. Rowe Price, it's not just about the short term. It's about a steady, long-term approach. Over 70% of our mutual funds beat their 3-, 5-, and 10-year Lipper averages. A disciplined, long-term approach. The smartest way to invest. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Update on the ACC game over on ESPN2. Of course, one of Carolina's all-time low points with a 40-point loss at Maryland that could have been worse. But Heels hanging tough tonight. That's Steve Blake from the corner. Only a 5-point Maryland lead midway second half. And Kentucky responded as we expected they would, up 8 at the break over Vandy. Dan Lyon.
So order being restored, at least in that Kentucky game. Here comes the Cuse, the Orangemen on their way in. Carmelo Anthony, best freshman in the country, on his way into Madison Square Garden, getting ready for the second semifinal here with the Conagra Foods Big East Championship. Connecticut and Syracuse. What else do you need to say about that, Lynn? Should be fun.
No, you can't say anything except two of the highest scoring teams in the Big East Conference with some terrific individual play as well as team play. You know, it's just a match made in heaven.
BC down 16, having to play through Craig Smith's foul trouble all night long. He's playing with 4 right now. Al Skinner with no other choice. Troy Bell for 3, not there. Smith the rebound. And a putback won't go. Jerron Brown with another rebound for Pittsburgh. A guy at 6'4" who can do so many different things for the Panthers. Here he is. Oh, lost the handle. Little touch pass over to Page. Strong to the hoop. And Ryan Sidney with a hard foul and a good show of sportsmanship.
Well, when things are going right for you, they're going right here on the lost dribble by Brown. Still winds up in Page's hands. Is he able to turn it into something? Absolutely. And Ryan Sidney again offering a little bit of apology. You'd like to see that, especially with Ryan.
Sidney, a junior out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. As Al Skinner pleads his case with something to Mike Kitts. Ben Howland, what an incredible job he has done at the University of Pittsburgh. And by the way, congratulations to the former coach of the Pitt Panthers, Ralph Willard, now back at his alma mater, Holy Cross, as he has led the Crusaders into the NCAA tournament yet again. They defeated American University in the Patriot League championship game earlier today.
And it's important to note that Ralph Willard and his staff are responsible for a lot of these guys on the floor today. Ben Howland's just taking them a step further.
Sidney, the outside jumper, much more of an inside guy than he is a shooter. It's out of bounds to the Eagles. Tomorrow, it's a full day of college basketball on ESPN and on ESPN2. ACC tournament semifinal between the NC State Wolfpack, who could really use another big win to get in. And they've got the opportunity taking on number 9 Wake Forest. Then the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament semifinal at one of the best rivalries around. Missouri taking on Kansas at 2 Eastern over on ESPN2. Zavatskis and Smith, for different reasons, maybe the two central figures in this game here tonight. Zavatskis has been outstanding with a game-high 17 points after 16 to land again, all in the second half against Providence yesterday. It's one of the luxuries that the Panthers and their staff have on any given day. Any one of 6 or 7 guys can really be their best player.
And that's absolutely by design. When we talk about Craig Smith and the foul trouble he has, he cannot get involved in this kind of banging of bodies. He's trying to play tough, and that was actually a good job by him, getting his arms up. It was Zavatskis who was grabbing and holding. But at the end of the day, you know, Craig Smith has to be very wary of what he does in the post for a few more minutes. Can't also play anxious, which the last possession of Boston College was an anxious possession. Quick and rush shots instead of working their offense.
The officials discovering that that ball did not hit the shot clock, so they had the clock down to 12. Now it's a moot point as Pittsburgh gets the turnover. Julius Page having a fine game as well. Brown doing his thing. Lett, Knight, everybody contributing for these Pitt Panthers. A team that is mentioned does not get a whole lot of national attention. Everybody in the Big East knows how good they are. 13-3 in the Western Division, the stronger of the two divisions during the regular season. They have made the Big East Championship final each of the last 2 years, but have yet to win it. They play as a team as much as anybody around.
Absolutely. They don't have the gaudy superstar that draws a lot of national attention. And probably not as much national exposure as they'd like for people to study them and see that they are truly a team.
Sidney got caught in the air. Pretty good find to Bell. Missed the 3. Zavatskis with another rebound, his 10th of the game, making all the hustle plays tonight.
And that's where Smith's foul trouble really hurts him. He can't be aggressive going after the ball. He gets his hands on it, but he can't go after it with the vengeance he normally does.
Third year in a row, BC and Pitt have met in the Big East Championship, and in each of the last 2 years, the Panthers have done a very good job on Troy Bell, holding him way below his average. Without extenuating circumstances, as he's had to play a lot of the time without his inside guy, Craig Smith. Knocked away, BC ball. Bell, nice feed inside to Sidney. It won't go down. But the Eagles get it back.
Another missed opportunity. That's about the third or fourth easy layup that Boston College has missed.
Smith on the double team finds Sidney, but the foul comes before the basket.
And this is when you talk about Troy Bell trying to do it all. He's got to rely on his teammates to help him out. He delivers it, but Sidney misses it. And once again, Smith can only get one hand on it, can't go up aggressively for fear of drawing that fifth.
Foul on Brandon Knight, his third. Weak side rebound to the putback for Andrew Bryant.
And Troy Bell will tell you that was a pass on one of the few times anybody for Boston College has been able to get offensive rebound position.
A 15-point deficit, very little depth, and foul trouble for BC. And a team, as you said in the first half, when they've got their foot on your throat, they know how to finish you off. Lent will do just that. It's a 17-point game. Ontario Lent now with 7. And a timeout for Al Skinner.
Well, Al Skinner detected that Troy Bell was tired. He had to make that call.
Running out of options and starting to run out of time. This 17-point deficit's going to be a lot to overcome as we send you back to Chris Fowler.
Nothing performs like the BMW 3 Series. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
On Selection Sunday, the choice is ESPN. At 5, we're first and exclusive with the NCAA Women's Bracket, plus live interviews with teams around the country. At 6, SportsCenter brings you the Men's Bracket with expert analysis plus all the sports news of the day. Then at 7, hoops as a second language.
Gypsy-doo Dunkaroo, and you gotta have the stars, the PTPers, baby.
As professors Chris Digger and Dickie V teach Bracketology 101, presented by Staples. If you're filling out a bracket on Selection Sunday, start here.
IO Digital Cable Service from Cablevision is here with the biggest and best in home entertainment. IO offers over 200 exciting channels, including up to 50 movie channels and more than 700 on-demand titles each month that you can start anytime. You can get IO for only $9.95 more per month. It's bigger than TV, better than satellite TV. It's the best value in home entertainment. TV is now IO Digital Cable Service from Cablevision. Call today, 1-877-68-DIGITAL.
So you downloaded the new AOL 8.0, and you connected it with dial-up. We feel your pain. AOL works better with Optimum Online, the fastest, easiest way around the internet. You downloaded the new MSN 8.0, and you connected it with dial-up. Bummer. MSN works better with Optimum Online, the fastest, easiest way around the internet.
Another update from the A-10. Xavier arrives tonight with a 16-game winning streak. Just beat Temple by 31, but Brian Polk and the Owls are getting it done. Up 7, inside of 4 to go. A potential bid stealer out of Conference USA is UAB up 16 at halftime in that semifinal.
Unbelievable. UAB knocking off the top seed of Marquette yesterday. The UABs and the Ohio States and the UCLAs and the USCs trying to steal bids from some other teams who otherwise might have been assured of an at-large. How about this? An obscure but revealing fact of the Big East Championship of the 24-year history of this tournament. There have been 15 overtime games, and in each case, the team that won in overtime went on to lose the next day. Just too many minutes, too many days in a row?
A combination of all those things, and in this case, also against a highly superior opponent.
Watson, another miss from close range. Bryanson on the glass. And we've got a foul against Pittsburgh, but so many good opportunities, and they've come up empty so many times.
When I say highly superior opponent, I'm not talking about throughout the season, because obviously Boston College is competitive. But on this night, Pittsburgh is doing what they need to do. They're getting the ball where they need to, playing that really tough D, forcing Troy Bell and others into shots that they don't want to take, or forcing them into taking off-balance types of shots. It's just not going to get it done.
Bryant misses the front end of the 1-and-1.
And, of course, Boston College has played into it by missing layups in key situations when they have a chance to close the lead and missing free throws.
Pittsburgh just squeezes the life out of you the way they play. Suffocating defense, very physical, very efficient at the offensive end. They're not a highlight reel, but they're one of the best teams in the country.
Well, they call them Panthers, but you probably should call them constrictors.
Yeah, that's right.
Because once they wrap themselves around you, you're not getting loose.
Levanskis for the shot clock winding down. This is everything, and we'll step aside with 7:35 to play here in the second half. We'll expect Troy Bell when we come back, but time running out in the big city here for the BC Eagles.
Oh boy, oh boy. We're having Chef Boyardee. Oh boy, oh boy. It's the Zazzaroni. Oh boy, oh boy. Pepperoni, lots of cheese, make it ravioli, please avoid. For Chef Boyardee.
Check it out. Cheesy ravioli that tastes like pepperoni pizza. That's what you get with pepperoni pizzazzaroli. Thank goodness.
For Chef Boyardee.
Conagra Foods, bringing big taste to the Big East.
The key to outdoor advertising? Location. So I put my 7-Up billboard where people spend all their time outdoors. At a ski resort. Ooh! Now that's a billboard with stopping power. Yeah. Woo!
Doctors recommend elevating your heart rate at least 30 minutes a day. Here's to your health. The BMW 3 Series. The ultimate driving machine.
Why do I rent from Enterprise? For more cargo room. More people room. Or more headroom. Enterprise. So easy, it's like having a second car. Or third.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
ESPN's presentation of the 2003 Conagra Foods Big East Championship is brought to you by Conagra Foods. We set America's table at home and away. And in part by 7-Up in your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours. And the BMW 5 Series. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Now, there's been a lot to holler about if you're a Pitt Panther or a fan of the Pitt Panthers. Up by 17 on the Boston College here at the Conagra Foods Big East Championship. Well, Chris Fowler talked about those bid stealers, the teams in other conferences trying to sneak a championship and get into the dance. That could affect bubble teams, maybe knock them out. Len, is BC a bubble team or are they in?
I believe they're in. Again, 10-6 in the conference is extraordinarily important. Your Big East is one of the power conferences. When you can go from 1-4 and go 8-2 down the stretch in conference play, you've demonstrated something. You look at the key losses, that one Holy Cross loss. Remember, that was the game Yuka Agbai hurt his neck. And, you know, quite honestly, when you have guys who are injured, even though he played that game, you know, the tournament selection committee considers that as well.
Well, Holy Cross is going to the tournament. They just won the Patriot League Championship today. Craig Smith with a bucket. He's got 9, and the lead is 15. Knight working on Bell. Long bounce pass into Zavanskis, who's got a game-high 19.
And the guy guarding him was Craig Smith, and obviously he can't do much.
Brandon Knight back on D, but he's turned his ankle. Knight went back to knock that pass away, but he has come up with a sore right ankle. And oh, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you have to immediately think about the knee injury he suffered in last year's Big East Championship.
Well, here we go again.
Well, a good sign that he is walking off under his own power, but he's not walking. Yeah, he's not walking very quickly or comfortably.
I guess that sums it up. Look at concern over that Panther faithful.
A senior, the extension of his coach, out on the floor, the point guard Brandon Knight, 5 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals tonight. Carl Krauser, the redshirt freshman, in Knight's place at the point.
If you're Boston College, you want to use anything to boost you. And even getting Knight out of the game should make a defense a little more active, as it was right there. Recognizing again that he's the engineer of that train that was just heading straight on, ready to run Boston College off the track.
And with a win, there's another game tomorrow for Pittsburgh, so not a whole lot of time to rest and recuperate if you're Brandon Knight. There's a foul committed by Ryan Sidney, knocking down a couple of Panthers. Let's bring in Dave Ryan.
Dan, Brandon Knight has overcome knee injuries in the offseason. Remember, it was here at the Big East, as you guys mentioned, the championship last year. Hurt his knee in the finals against UConn in a Willis Reed-like effort. He came back, almost led the Panthers to a win. Now, in the offseason, he had arthroscopic surgery. It took him a lot of time to get his conditioning back during the rehab. Later this season, endured ankle problems. The coaches said before the game tonight he was just getting back to 100% with the ankle and the knee. Until now, he's turned that right ankle. Who knows about his condition for tomorrow?
Well, that didn't look good. That last shot we had, he's in a lot of pain over on the Pittsburgh bench. They may not need him tonight, but they're certainly going to need him tomorrow and beyond.
You talk about the injury that Brandon Knight suffered last year at the championship game, and he came back on to take one last shot and almost made it from half court, despite the fact that he was literally playing on one leg.
Krauser to Page, another three. And the lead is up to 20 for the Panthers. Bell on the drive. 17 for Troy Bell. Brandon Knight limping off for further treatment.
And now you got Julius Page hobbling a little bit as well.
Remember, Chevy Troutman came into this game questionable. He has played, but not much, with a high ankle sprain of his own. So it's a banged up bunch of Panthers right now trying to move on to the final. Let nice up and under move.
That's the kind of stuff Craig Smith does on the other end. But we talked about Ontario Lett and how agile he is down low. He's just not a power guy. He's got some steps.
Big lead for Pittsburgh. Let's go back in time and talk about what Len and Dave were talking about. The championship game a year ago, Connecticut against Pittsburgh. And Brandon Knight had to be helped off with a knee injury. They went into overtime, and at the end of overtime, Knight came back into the game, and his 45-footer almost went in. But Talik Brown in second overtime with a long three. And UConn prevailed by 9 in double overtime to win the Huskies' 5th Big East championship. It's not the knee this time, it's the ankle. But there's a lot of pain involved for one of the tougher kids you're going to see in college basketball. Back to Dave Ryan.
And Pitt trainers tell me it could be pretty bad news for Brandon Knight. He was taken back to the training room moments ago for x-rays. Just precautionary for now. It is possible he could return to this game tonight, but it is the same ankle he injured earlier in the season. They're very concerned it could be pretty serious.
Well, if you're looking for a glimmer of hope, if you're Pittsburgh, that's not it right now. As Len mentioned, Julius Page is in some pain as well. Maybe just a cramp for him. But one thing that the Panthers have this year, Len, that they didn't have last year is Carl Krauser. So they've got a guy, if Knight's unable to play, they've got a more suitable replacement to send in there in the backcourt.
Well, Carl Krauser is a different type of player, more of a slasher, likes to play at 78 RPM instead of 45. And sometimes he can get out of control, but he's nowhere near the leader on the floor. Not at this point in time in his career that Brandon Knight is. He's nowhere near the passer, the guy who can deliver the ball where a guy can use it.
Hey, if you're going to talk to the kids of today, you got to lose that RPM stuff, man. They don't know what you're talking about.
Revolution per minute. They have it in cars still. Don't they?
Well, we're hoping, everybody's hoping, obviously, that Brandon Knight, just as a competitor, and all of us are just fans of the game, but a guy who suffered that kind of an injury at such an important time last year, that he'll be able to come back and play this year.
Well, I mean, you talk about the ankle. That's been the problem for Brandon Knight all year. I mean, there are times when he hasn't played like the Brandon Knight we know, and he's been hobbled by injuries. Never really made a big deal out of it, never used it as an excuse. He just played on.
Demetrius back into the game for the Panthers. Pittsburgh got a double-digit lead in the first half when Craig Smith went out with the third foul on the technical. And the BC was never really able to threaten them much at all here in the second half. The winner of this game looking more and more like the Panthers to take on the winner of Connecticut and Syracuse next here on ESPN. There's Krause.
And that's what he does, and they took a lot of time off the clock. In fact, used it all before Krause finishes with that layup.
Bell for three, looking for the foul, didn't get it. And it's out of bounds. Back to the Eagles. Under 4 to play. Pitt on its way to the championship game. Let's send it back to Chris Fowler for an update in the studio.
All right, Dan, thanks. Shaping up as kind of redemption Friday here. We'll start first in the Big 12. TJ Ford trying to bring the Longhorns back. Drives. He doesn't get it to go, but they attack the glass. Eventually the tip goes, but still, Texas can't really cut in too much. An 8-point game, 2.5 to play. Temple avenging a 30-point loss to Xavier, up 7 for a spot in the A-10 finals. We'll be back.
Do you love lots of butter on your popcorn? We've got good news. Orville Redenbacher's Ultimate Butter Gourmet Popping Corn. Tastes so buttery, you'll want to kick back, relax, and start popping today.
Nothing performs like the BMW 3 Series. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
You gelling? No telling how much I'm gelling. You gelling? I'm gelling like a felon. Quit yelling, we're gelling.
Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are so soft, they make any shoe feel outrageously comfortable. Are you gelling yet? Dr. Scholl's.
I'll take Chris.
Okay. Okay. I'll take Chris's buddy. You play that?
Why not?
Look up, see blue. Labatt Blue.
Steve-O. Good hands.
Oh, thanks. Instinct.
Chili's to go and college hoops. Tune into college basketball on ESPN and ESPN2.
The NCAA Women's Basketball Championship begins next Saturday on ESPN.
It's time to dance. Well, the time has finally come for us to see who's #1. Get out on the floor. It's alright to dance. We gon' crown the champion right here on ESPN.
Now the Pitt Panthers a step closer, they hope, to the Big East Championship. There was Brandon Knight down at the other end of the floor. That play actually before what we thought was the injury. It looks like there were 2 separate occasions when he tweaked that ankle. Bell with a 3. He's got 20. Look at a 2, I'm sorry. And it's 57-40 for Pittsburgh. Page is going to come back in for Pittsburgh, so that's good news. That maybe a cramp or whatever it was is something minor. But Brandon Knight has turned his ankle. Precautionary x-ray. Chevy Trout has not played much here in the second half. They haven't really needed him much with this big lead. Ontario led 2 more.
Again, here's the execution part by Pittsburgh. You talk about putting teams away. You understand the time and score situation. Just take your time, work on your game plan, and make the extra pass.
Bryant inside. Smith will shoot a couple. Let's take you back again to what is now the biggest story of this game. Brandon Knight suffering an ankle injury.
Well, again, you're going to see him push off hard. And kind of right there is where he comes up tenderly. He starts to grab. And here he is right now coming back to defend on the fast break. And still running ginger. Look at him straighten up. Still, though, despite being in pain, goes up and deflects the ball.
So now Carl Krauser, if Knight cannot play tomorrow night, Krauser, you would imagine, would become the starting point guard. He is a very talented player, a redshirt freshman, though, and he would step into the spotlight to run this Pittsburgh show. As the Panthers are on the brink of advancing to the championship game here in the Big East tournament for the third consecutive year. One of the big reasons for that, Greg Smith spent half the night over on the bench in foul trouble after a monster game against St. John's yesterday in the quarters.
BC looking again to pick up the pressure a little bit to make this game respectable. You know, if Boston College had a longer bench, they might even think about starting to foul Pittsburgh and test that poor free throw shooting. But they don't have enough guys. In the next 2 minutes, they might foul out everybody on the team in trying to do that.
Sidney knocks it away. And another shot clock violation on the Panthers. Their 5th of the night. 2:12 to go. Big lead for Pitt as we send you back to Chris Fowler.
And moved the A-10 tournament out of Philadelphia to the state of Ohio, but Temple back in the final at 15-14, awaiting the winner of Dayton and St. Joe's.
Unbelievable day in college basketball. The Bid Steelers, as Chris Fowler has referred to them tonight. They get another member as Temple's going to try to win their conference championship. Ohio State won today. UCLA and USC both in the semifinals in the Pac-10. Carolina leading Maryland. What's going on, Len?
Well, tell me again, who said that these tournaments don't mean anything? They certainly mean something to the so-called Bid Steelers. You know, it's the last chance for some of these teams to get their ticket punched.
And it's the worst nightmare for the bubble teams. Seeing unexpected teams rise up and win a conference championship and get an automatic bid. There will be no such shock here in the Big East, as Pittsburgh will advance and Connecticut and Syracuse are getting ready to go in the other semifinal.
Well, this is a game where an already fragile Boston College team lost one of their main anchors, their main pillars, to foul trouble, and had never been able to recover.
Now, plenty more championship week action to come, presented by 7-Up. Semifinal tomorrow with the ACC, NC State against Wake Forest. One of those top teams trying to avoid getting knocked out. 1:30 Eastern here on ESPN. A Big 12 action, Missouri and Kansas, 2 Eastern over on ESPN2. More on Brandon Knight. Once again, Dave Ryan.
Dan, for now, for Pitt fans, the news is pretty good. Pitt trainers say the x-rays are negative of any potential fracture of Brandon Knight's right ankle. It's an outside of the ankle sprain. It is pretty serious. They're icing it now. A lot of treatment. His mom, Brenda, came in to check with the trainers moments ago. She's gone back to see her son to make sure he's all right. So no fracture, but a serious sprain.
Well, now, Len, I guess the question for Ben Howland is, let's say that Knight might be able to play tomorrow. How important is it to play him and try to win a Big East championship and improve your seeding? Or do you just give him a few days off and hold him back for the NCAAs? More on that in a moment, but first, again, back to Chris Fowler.
All right, thanks. Let's go to the Big 12 for an update. Texas Tech trying to close out Texas. Andre Emmett often the source of frustration for Bob Knight. But the touchdown reception and the foul, and Texas is going to go down. A growing list of strong teams losing their first conference tournament game, fellas.
Unbelievable. On and on it goes as Texas Tech on the verge of advancing to the semis in the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament. And as we mentioned earlier, and this has some ramifications potentially on Pittsburgh, is Texas still assured of a #1 seed? The Pitt Panthers would like to believe that if they could win the Big East championship, they would deserve a #1 seed.
Well, when you go back to your original question, what was that other question again? No, I know.
It's a busy night.
I mean, look, if I'm Ben Howland, discretion is always the better part. you know, you've got some other things to accomplish as this season goes on. And as much as he would like to win this Big East championship, and I know that he does, he's got to take the bigger picture look. He's got a capable guy playing the point in Carl Krauser. He may not be Brandon Knight, but he's got some other guys who can band together and play top-notch basketball. So if Knight can't go, you don't want to take the chance. If you can't go 100%, don't take the chance.
An ankle injury in the second half. Here's Krauser with the drive. As Dave Ryan told you, X-rays negative. But he's only got about 24 hours to rest and recuperate if indeed he is ready, willing, and able to play in tomorrow night's championship game against the winner of our next game, Syracuse and UConn, here on ESPN. Sidney with a putback.
Okay, going back to Boston College, once again, I don't think this loss is going to diminish their stature, as I believe, again, that they've got a bid going into the NCAA tournament, but it's something that a lot of people are watching now, and you got to question. Craig Smith has to be the marked man. Folks can live with Troy Bell having a big night, but Smith is the guy who's very vulnerable to foul trouble, and if you can get him out, you got a chance to beat Boston College going forward.
Sports Center coming up next here on ESPN, and then we're going to be back with you just about at the bottom of the hour for Syracuse and Connecticut. The Pitt fans, and there's a big contingent of them behind the basket that Pitt is attacking right now, up on their feet. They have enjoyed this team from the outset of this season as Pittsburgh advances to the championship game here with the Conagra Foods Big East Championship for the third consecutive year. Just the third time that that has happened in Big East tournament history. Syracuse did it 5 years in a row in the late 80s and Connecticut 3 in a row in the late 90s. Troy Bell of the BC undermanned in foul trouble, and Ben Howland of the Pitt Panthers are on to the championship game. The question is, will Brandon Knight be in uniform tomorrow night when they take on the winner of Connecticut and Syracuse? The Panthers have advanced their 25th win of the season. Please join us in about 20 or 25 minutes here on ESPN for the second semifinal between Syracuse and Connecticut. Dave Ryan standing by with the winning coach.
All right, Coach Howland, what can you tell us about Brandon Knight's condition? We know the ankle sprain is pretty serious. Can he play tomorrow night as of now?
Yeah, I have no idea. You know, they took him right in. I don't know what happened. He made a pass to the Savakas there. We got the layup. I don't know if he stepped on someone's foot. I don't even know what occurred because it happened during the game and we kept playing. But he is getting X-rated right here, right now. I just have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. Julius Page cramped up when playing so many minutes. Did a great job guarding their great player, Troy Bell. And I thought we did a great job tonight defensively. We won this game defensively. Again, that's how we're winning games, and I'm really proud of our group. A lot of guys stepped up tonight. Zabakis had another great game tonight. Really happy for that senior. Lett came on strong for us second half. So we have a few guys are injured, but we'll be ready to go tomorrow no matter what.
And Ben Howland and Pittsburgh going to a third straight championship game tomorrow night.
All right, Jane, thank you. An impressive performance as they hold BC to 48 points, winning by 13. UConn and Syracuse taking the floor. Come on back for our second semifinal. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Sports Center is next.